my name is Fabi, and this is my channel, Imaginary Instruments. Today I'd like to show you an interesting experiment I did. I made a quick beat on the OP1, and then the next day, and without listening to the original beat made on the OP1, I tried to replicate it using ROLI Blocks. Alright, so because this is a comparison video and this is the internet, I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say, Fab, these are two really different tools and are not comparable to one another. And you'd be right to say that, random person on the internet. Because, you know, one of them is a standalone synth, not only, but mainly, and the other one is a MIDI controller, an awesome MIDI controller at that. So this one can make sounds on its own, and this one basically can't. You need something else for it to control in order for it to be able to make sounds. Alright, so here we got the ROLI, I guess there's the C-board block and the light block M. It is a really difficult instrument. Even though it's laid as a piano, you have to work on your position. Don't let the piano layout trick you into thinking that, oh, it's going to be just like a piano. It's not going to be just like a piano. So if you play the piano, you definitely have an advantage going into the C-board. But it'll take some time getting used to, and even more time to get good at it. The tropical flavor that I got, I think it's a subconscious thing in me, I guess, because again, I was born in Venezuela and I lived there the first 15 years of my life, and I had my fair share of this music. And you know, sometimes I like to think I'm fancy and over it, but I think deep down I love it. Alright, so what I used for the lead in the tropical version was this breath flute, right? And one thing that I think I'm going to do in the future, definitely, it's going to be to buy a second one of these. Because this is what appears to be 24 keys, but it's not enough. It is really not enough. It is okay if you're on the go and you have no other choice. But again, if you're going to use this as an everyday tool, you need at least a second one. Yeah, you gotta be careful sometimes because you're bound, you know, if you're not careful, it's not really forgiving. It's not like a keyboard. You're bound to land on the edge of a key, and it's gonna be a quarter note off. So it's, you know, an instrument. Alright, so now I would like to talk about the percussion, and that is when something like this comes in handy. It's fine to work with. Are you okay? Oh. So yeah, that's a 4x4 grid. It's plenty if you're going to play some congas or something. And if you need something a little bit more advanced, you can then go into a 3x3 mode, or a 4x4 mode, or a 5x5 mode. Oh, you got strings and horns. This is one of my favorite. Ain't that amazing? I think that's amazing. So now our dear OP1. Alright, so a couple of words about the original tune on the OP1. It's composed of 4 tracks, and the tune was coming along kind of like a 8-bit-ish, cartoonish, video game-ish kind of tune. Alright, so the lead, it's just this synth. It's a cluster, caterpillar, and it's kind of like a... It's not exactly this one, I think I modified it a little bit, and this one is monophonic, so I overdubbed it with a second voice to the melody, and that's pretty much it. Then you have the bass. The little shakers. I did them all in the OP1 percussion synthesizer. You got the shaker and then just some dry, drum hits. Something I like about the OP1 is its drum samples. You have actually a drum synthesizer, which is D-Box, and it has a lot of presets, and they're quite okay. Plus, you can actually go into the synthesizer and tweak your own sounds. The OP1 is the equivalent of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but in synth form. It's like you're doing something and then you see something else and you just go for it even though you had an objective in mind. So yeah, I was saying that I prefer the actual drum samples, and they're pretty good. I mean, I gotta say, I use them more than I use the D-Box, the drum synthesizer, just because I find acoustic drums more pleasing to my ear. But, that's a preference thing. Which is why I really like the Seaboard block to do percussion. Actually, yeah, this one's not bad, but this one's so sensitive, and it's really, you can really enrich your songs with expressive drums. Here, you can fake some of the velocity, I guess, by either affecting the sound volume with this knob, or you can actually attribute it to the gyroscope that's in the OP1. So, if you move it, you can set it for it to affect the volume of any set sound. Alright, so yeah, you listen to this, and I personally wonder, how did I remember this being this tropical gangbang that I reproduced on the ROLI? So this is why this video to me was kind of relevant, is it? Because it was totally unintended. It was about the tool that I was using and the possibilities that tool presented to me that really totally changed the mood of the song. Alright, so in conclusion, I have to say that even though I do have a musical background, I thought myself incapable of composing. I mostly exclusively interpreted for my own pleasure. It was totally a hobby. And the few things that I did compose for my art videos, I felt were utter crap. But the thing is that since I've come across tools like these, composing has become a game and a joy instead of a self-deprecating process. And I'm not saying that these tools turned me into some type of Mozart, because they didn't. I'm still learning, and I'm still pretty new at this. But at least they've inspired in me a childlike wonder for electronic music production. Oh, and a little disclaimer. Of course, I am not saying that these are essential tools in any way, shape, or form for music making. Not at all. I mean, if you are talented, you can make music out of an empty bottle and a one-string guitar. Alright, so thank you for watching this video. If you have any comments or questions, just feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. So yeah, thanks again, and catch you next time. Peace.